If you're watching this and you intend on winning your fantasy basketball matchup this week, you need this information like right now. Here are the waiver wire targets that you need to focus on for week 14 of the NBA fantasy basketball season. From the Indiana Pacers, Andrew Nembhard. He's only rostered in 7.2% of ESPN leagues and 38% of Yahoo leagues. Over the last 7 days, he's averaged 33.3 minutes per game, 12 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 4.3 assists, and 1.7 steals. I'll even throw in 0.7 blocks. With the injury to Tyrese Halliburton, there's going to be some opportunity in the backcourt in Indiana. We're not sure who's going to really get it, but I would say that Nembhard has proven that he has standalone value. So even if he doesn't get all of Tyrese's minutes, he's still going to be able to carve out a sufficient role for himself. Also from the Indiana Pacers, we have TJ McConnell. He's only rostered in 42% of Yahoo leagues. And I know for a fact that TJ McConnell, when he gets minutes, can be super productive for fantasy. On the 14th of January against Memphis, he had 24 minutes, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals. He's that kind of stat stuffing guard. He's going to get you tons of assists, and he's also going to get you some defensive stats. So I know I mentioned 2 Indiana players with Tyrese Halliburton being injured. If you have 2 or 3 streaming spots to spare, I would grab both of them and see what happens. But if you could sneak one of them, I think that's still doing your team some justice. From the San Antonio Spurs, Josh Richardson. He's only rostered in 6% of ESPN leagues. Over the last 7 days, he's averaged 24.5 minutes per game, 13.8 points, 3 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1 block. That's tons of value in a bunch of different categories. And with Devin Vassell out for the foreseeable future, as far as we know, he's going to get tons of run. They have nothing to play for. They're going to be just plugging and playing. And Richardson is a player that's proven if he gets playing time, he can be somewhat productive. And it's worth noting that the San Antonio Spurs only have 2 games this week. So this is more of a long-term play with Vassell out. This is not something if you're looking just for someone to stream in week 14. And since we're talking about schedules for week 14, the Raptors have 5 games this week, guys. Don't get too hyped up looking to add Chris Boucher or anything crazy like that, because really outside of their starters, there's not a lot of value in Toronto. Also worth noting that the Spurs and the Magic both play 2 games in week 14, and the Bulls and the Pistons play 1. The next waiver wire target I want to talk about is Bruce Brown from the Denver Nuggets. Over the last 7 days, he's averaged 1.5 3-pointers per game, 9.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2 blocks. He is stuffing the category baskets, guys. If he's available and you're looking for a stream this week, or if you're thinking about maybe holding him for a couple of weeks, go grab yourself some Bruce Brown. From the Brooklyn Nets, Royce O'Neal. He's only rostered in 48% of Yahoo leagues, and with KD out, he's kind of contributing on another level, hitting tons of threes. Honestly, in the last 7 days, this blew my mind. In the last 7 days, he's ranked 59th in category leagues. He's contributing in so many different areas. Get yourself some Royce O'Neal. By the way, I'm Robin Marks from Game Pick Fantasy Basketball. You can connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Game Pick Podcast. If you love fantasy sports, please consider subscribing, give this episode a like, and hit the bell to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of these fantasy gems. We release new episodes every single week. Now let's talk about buy lows and sell highs. First, let's talk about buy lows, and my first buy low is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Listen, guys, Giannis has not been performing on the level that we've known him to perform on, right? So over the last 7 days, he's averaged 0.5 threes per game, 14 rebounds, which is pretty good, 7.5 assists, which is pretty good, 1.5 blocks, which is pretty good. So why is he a buy low? It's because his field goal percentage is atrocious. 36% from the field right now, guys. So listen, if you have a manager in your league that's panicking, worried about Giannis, this is your opportunity. And I promise you, this opportunity won't last. Our next buy low target from the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. Bam is ranked 144 over the last 7 days, which is super low. So since it's low, this is your opportunity to buy low. Send some offers and see if you can bring them back to the squad. You guys know I love talking about injury buy lows. I got a list of them because a bunch of stars are banged up. First off, someone who's been on the list for a couple of weeks, Karl-Anthony Towns. This might be your last opportunity to actually send an offer out for Cat. Zion Williamson is another one, someone who is going to be out for a couple of weeks and you might be able to get on the low. Kevin Durant, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jaylen Brown are all banged up and going to be out for a little bit. For Jaylen Brown, we're not sure how long he's going to be out, but definitely for Durant and Halliburton, we're talking about multiple weeks. Next up, we're going to talk about fantasy basketball sell highs, and we're going to start with Jalen Brunson. He has been off the hook, y'all. Complete nuclear. Actually got the Knicks winning. Like, I despise the Knicks. Like, I'm a New Yorker, so like I have my reasons, but like they making me like kind of raise an eyebrow, like, okay, something really good is happening here. So Jalen Brunson is the catalyst of that. He's been performing on another level, guys. So if you can sell high on him now, I don't think that the level of performance he's putting out, the output is going to be sustainable. So this is your opportunity to sell high. And it wouldn't be a game pick episode if we didn't talk about Kawhi Leonard, who this week is a sell high. Kawhi Leonard has averaged 28.7 points over the last 7 days, 1.7 threes, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2.3 steals. Listen, Kawhi is good. Everybody knows Kawhi is good. I'm not taking anything away. In the comments, so many people are like,
why you hate on Kawhi so much? Like, Kawhi is great. Why you hate on him, Robin?
And honestly, it's nothing personal. It's just a fantasy thing. And yo, it's like proven in writing that your man sits back-to-backs, your man rests, load management, injuries. It's just too many headaches. So if he's on your roster, this is probably the only opportunity that you'll be able to get a decent return if you send him out there. So make a move, trade Kawhi Leonard, sell high, and run. From the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson. I mentioned him in a previous episode with Curry out. Now that window is closing fast because Steph Curry is a little rusty. Andrew Wiggins is a little rusty. So Klay is still performing on a high level. Guys, this is not going to last. If you have him on your team, this is your opportunity to sell high. I want to take a quick second to talk about today's sponsor, Owner's Box. Owner's Box is an official sponsor of the Game Pick podcast, and we want to highlight their new one-of-a-kind fantasy sports format, Lightning Lineups. All you have to do is spin, pick, and win. Sign up right now and use the promo code GamePick Podcast. Owner's Box will match your first deposit up to $500. This is one of the largest deposit matches in the industry. Don't miss out. To sign up, just download the Owner's Box app on Android or iOS. And don't forget, use the promo code GamePickPodcast. Next up, we're going to answer your questions. This is the Discord Q&A. To join our free private Discord server of over 1,400 fantasy basketball fanatics, all you have to do is hit the link in the description of this episode. The first question is from Halal Snack Pack. He wants to know, will Plumlee sustain this level of effectiveness or will he go down? I have no faith in Plumlee. Like, just saying Plumlee on my show sounds crazy. I know we've mentioned him before, but he's not like a true like fantasy staple for me. He's kind of like been waiver wire material. He's been performing this year. I can't even front. So I'm not going to say like it's not a good question. It's definitely an interesting question. However, to answer it, will he go down? I think he will. And honestly, just talking about him kind of makes me a little sick to my stomach. The next question is from Hiei. That's Hiei. He says, Thomas Bryant or Okongwu in a points league. My answer is really simple. Okongwu all day, every day, and tomorrow, and the day after that. Listen, I want to say this. Thomas Bryant is performing. I'm not going to deny it. It's a great question. However, he's performing because AD is out and AD is coming back. Oh, I know what you're going to say. Well, Capella's out, and that's why Okongwu is performing. Yes, you got a point. But I don't know about Capella. I think AD might come back. Yes. Capella, they might be moving him. Seeing what Okongwu has done in Atlanta is maybe showing the front office that he's someone to invest in. I think that he's an amazing asset, especially for dynasty format. So I'm going to go Okongwu on this question. The next question is from Tao I. Curtis. He says, is Trae Young going to start heating up or do we sell? If you would have asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would say hold, we're going to be okay. Now we're halfway through the season. We're about to be at the All-Star break, and Trae Young hasn't really got it all together. But I read something recently from Sports Talk ATL here in Atlanta, and they said that there's some big issues happening behind the scenes in the front office. Namely, it sounds like Tony Ressler, the owner, is allowing his 27-year-old son to run the team as the president. So that's concerning. I know that Nate McMillan and Trae had some issues. I don't know if this thing is going to blow up in Atlanta's face. So I'm going to say hold him for now. But if it continues, I would try to move him because honestly, I don't know what's happening in this front office in Atlanta. And that could have dramatic fantasy basketball implications for us. If you need help with your team, drop a comment with your question. I will answer every single comment for this episode. If you want to learn our proven strategy for executing fantasy sports trades, please check out the next episode that pops up on your screen. And don't forget, play the waivers, set your lineups, and follow Game Pick, you freaking fantasy nerd.